What if the land we fought for belonged to no nation but only to the righteous? What if the promised land were not a piece of land, but a divine test, a mirror held up to faith, obedience, and betrayal? For centuries, blood and faith have revolved around a single phrase: the promised land. The promised land. But what was truly promised, and to whom? Let's go back to the beginning, to an old man's tent beneath the endless stars of Canaan. His name was Abraham, the friend of God. And one night the heavens opened with a promise that would echo forever. First covenant, God said to Abraham, "To your descendants I give this land, from the river of Egypt to the great river, the Euphrates." Genesis 15:18. This was a moment that shaped three faiths: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. A sacred covenant, sealed not with gold or a sword, but with faith and obedience. But it was not unconditional. This was not a blank check for land ownership. It was a covenant, a two-sided promise. God would bless his descendants if they walked in his ways. Abraham accepted the covenant. He circumcised his sons. He bowed not to idols, but to the One. From him came two descendants, Ishmael and Isaac, two branches of a tree that would one day quarrel with its roots. The land of Canaan, a good and spacious land, flowing with milk and honey, became the dream of generations, yet unborn. The seed of the promise. Isaac inherited the promise. Then came Jacob, the one who wrestled with the angel and was named Israel. God said to him, "I will give you and your descendants the land where you lie." Genesis 28:13. But there was still a condition: righteousness, justice, covenant fidelity. And yet history tells a different story. A tale of rebellion, golden calves, and forgotten laws. A chosen people, but continually straying from the path. Prophets arose to remind them, "Do not follow false gods. Do not oppress the orphan, the widow, or the foreigner." But they turned away, and the promised land became a land of punishment. The covenant was sacred, but it could also be broken. Moses and the forbidden land. Then came Moses, the Savior Moses. He led his people from Egypt across the Red Sea into the desert. He too had been promised the Holy Land, the land that God has ordained for you. Quran 5:21. But when he told his people to enter, they refused. They were afraid of the giants who lived there. They said, "We will not go." And God said, "Then it will be forbidden to them for 40 years. Quran 5:26. For 40 years they wandered, their promise delayed by their own fear. Even Moses was not allowed to set foot in it. He died on Mount Nebo, gazing at the land from afar, the promised land, within sight, yet out of reach. Perhaps a symbol of what happens when faith is shaken. The prophet's warning. Later prophets, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, repeated the same warning. Only if you keep the covenant will you keep the land. Jeremiah cried out, "Reform your ways and your deeds. Do not oppress the stranger, the orphan, or the widow, and I will dwell you in this land." Jeremiah 7:3-7. Land was never a gift for ethnic pride. It was a moral responsibility. The prophets saw something that many still miss today. The promise was spiritual before they became landowners. And when the Israelites broke the covenant, worshiping idols, shedding blood, and abandoning justice, they were exiled, first by Babylon, then by Rome. The temple was destroyed, and the once holy land was once again silenced. Reframing the Quran. Then, centuries later, a new revelation came: the Quran. It did not use the term promised land, but spoke of the fertile land, the holy land, and those who would inherit the earth. We made the oppressed peoples inherit the eastern and western parts of the blessed land. Quran 7:13-7. The earth, and my righteous servants will inherit it. Quran 21:105. The Quran reshaped ancient thought. The promised land was never about a tribe or lineage. It was about those who obeyed God, not the rebellious but the righteous. And if the promise began with Abraham, then it extends to all who follow his path: Jews, Christians, Muslims, all who submit to the will of the One. Reflection and modern echo. But the story doesn't end in the scriptures, it lives on, in the headlines, on the walls, in the wars. For centuries, hearts have burned with the dream of a return to Zion. The rise of Zionism gave political form to the ancient promise, transforming a spiritual longing into a territorial claim. And yet, perhaps its true meaning has been lost. Perhaps the promised land wasn't about possessing land, but about earning it through righteousness. Perhaps land is not just a geography, but a state of mind. The covenant wasn't about borders, but about faith, justice, and mercy. So tonight, as you hear this story, ask yourself, what does it mean to be chosen? Can a land be promised without a heart that deserves it? And if the promise was conditional, who among us truly keeps the covenant today?